So today we're going to talk about design boot camps and my experience with them, and if you can actually become a designer in 3 months. So I'm about almost 8 years out of a design boot camp. Overall, I'll say my experience has been super positive. So firstly, what's the type of person who should actually take a design boot camp? I think it's somebody who is trying to switch careers, not somebody who is looking to slowly break into the industry, or maybe somebody who is super young, hasn't worked before. I don't think that's a design bootcamp is really for that kind of person. I think if you're young, let's say you're 18 and you're trying to learn how to become a designer, and this could be any kind of design, UX design, UI design, product design, it's kind of all the same thing in a way. It doesn't make sense for somebody, in my opinion, to if they're 18 in school and stuff, to do this. I mean, if you have the money, maybe it can accelerate things, but I think it's really for people who are already in a career and want to switch, so they have maybe some money to invest and they can actually move that money to help them switch more quickly. Whereas if you're younger, you can probably do it in other ways, which I'll discuss in the video. I think if you are going to do a design bootcamp, you should prepare well, because for example, the one I took, it is around, I think maybe like a $10,000. So you definitely don't want to go into that and feel like you've wasted your time or you didn't get the most out of it. So definitely do your research. If you have any questions, drop it in the comment section, and I'll try and answer them as well. But definitely do your research, because you need to make sure it's a big investment. You need to make sure that you're ready for what's to come. I think the reason why some people fail when they do boot camps, and I mean when I say fail, I think it's best to define it as don't get into the career that they were trying to get into. Because I think if you don't give up, you don't fail, right? So it might take longer than you think. So you should definitely keep going. But I think the people who struggled in terms of what I've seen is probably people who were a bit one foot in, one foot out. I think you need to commit. And I think that's the whole point of this boot camp, is to be immersive and just really commit to it and give it your all, and kind of embrace all of the opportunities that they try to give to you, whether it's networking with alumni, whether it's some ties they have with the industry, just embracing all of it. I think if you're going into it half-hearted, I think that's when you're more likely to not really get the most out of it. And hopefully, because it's so expensive, you would think most people would go into it all in, but I've seen it, and some people, sometimes life can get in the way, but I think if you're going to pay that money, make sure the cohort or the time you go in, everything's cleared, your diary's cleared, you ain't got no weddings, you ain't got no funerals, you ain't got anything. Like, just make sure you're ready to go, because I think it's important you give it your 100% focus. So one of the questions in this video I wanted to answer is, can you actually become a designer in 3 months? And I guess it depends. The thing is, though, I have seen it happen, right? I've seen people do a 10-week boot camp who had skills in other industries and have managed to transition into UX design and not even have to necessarily take a junior role. Now, bear in mind, we're talking 7-8 years ago. This industry moves very quick, so what might have been true then may not be true now. So you have to take it with a pinch of salt. So it is possible. However, I think today it feels like it's a bit more saturated. Whether that's true, it depends, because obviously when I say saturated, I mean saturated where? Which market are we talking about? Is it globally saturated? Probably not. In certain markets, maybe it is. So you really have to take that on board in terms of where you are in the world and what skills they're looking for. It is potentially possible to become a designer in 3 months. Again, I think maybe we have to define what becoming a designer means. Is that you're an intern? Is that you are a junior or more? Is it possible to become an intern? 100%. I think that's 100% true. There is a lack of entry level roles in UX design in general. I think there's more entry level roles in things like graphic design, maybe. In UX design, it can be tricky, but they are out there. And I think if you're willing to work for free or low, which, my stance on this has changed over the years, I think you should be able to, you should work for free, in my opinion, but you should define the terms of how you're going to do it and make sure you get what you want out of it. Because, well, you can work for free for anybody, and you might not get anything out of it. So you need to define what you actually want out of it. And if you think you will benefit from working for free, you can work for free. And you can also, depending on the relationship, put some sort of cost on the person who you're working for. It doesn't have to be monetary, right? It could be testimonial. Obviously, you'd want to get a good portfolio piece, so making sure that the work you're doing isn't under some sort of NDA if you're working for free. That's super helpful because you want to be able to show the work so you can get work that actually pays. I think it is generally possible to become a designer in 3 months. And I will talk about alternative routes as well. So not just boot camps. So for example, I think one is self-study. Now, when I was 7, 8 years ago, again, things move super quick. When you typed in UX design into YouTube 7, 8 years ago, I actually probably watched all the videos that existed, right? But you can't do that now. You can't watch well, maybe you can, but I watched all the videos pretty quickly. There wasn't that much out there, that's my point. Now there's a lot more out there. There's a lot more content around UX design, even more niche topics within UX design, within design in general. You look at Twitter, for example, or X, and there is like design communities around that. So industry is obviously ever changing, ever evolving, and the possibility for self-study has increased massively because there's just more content, there's more courses. And if you wanted to do self-study, I think you could get a lot from YouTube. The downside of YouTube is the lack of practicality because you're getting information. And there's a saying, information isn't transformation. So, and you're also not necessarily listening to people talk about skills and not necessarily transferring the skills to you just by hearing it. And that application part of learning, you may not get just from watching a video on YouTube. So that is a downside. I think if you do self-study, starting on YouTube, and then perhaps hopefully you have like some kind of other part-time job or some sort of small income, and then you can funnel that into an online course, which bootcamp might cost you thousands. Maybe cheap online, actually, online bootcamp, but an in-person bootcamp will definitely cost you thousands. And a online course, if you can get a good one with maybe a community, someone who's kind of reputable, has good reviews. If you can get a good course with that, you can use that and the self-study and then create a portfolio of work. Could be like quite fictional work in a sense, but something that showcases your skills, and then you can work for somebody for free. So whether that's Upwork, whether that's somebody locally, some sort of internship, you can work for somebody for free. And I think like I said, I'm not against working for free. Just try and get it so it makes sense to you. It doesn't always make sense to work for free. So if you have to work for free, the reason why I say work for free is because entry-level positions are super scarce in UX design. And it's not something that I don't really see it as something that's going to be addressed anytime soon. So you're going to have to show you can do something. And less people are willing to train people, unfortunately. So you're gonna have to show somewhere, and the only way to show is, and a lot of times, is to work for free. That's the reality. So the final point: is it actually worth learning UX design in 2024/2025? Because obviously the advent of AI, that's the kind of elephant in the room. You know, I mean, the reality is I don't know how it's gonna change anything, or how it's gonna change everything. It could, it could be, it could be huge. I think a lot of companies, well, from what I've seen anyway, a lot of companies talk about AI won't replace your job, but the person who can use AI might replace you in your job, which I think is a nice line to say now, because I don't think AI could replace anybody's job right now. So it's nice to say that now. But there may come a time where it'd be harder to say. And I think ultimately economics will drive a lot of these decisions in terms of whether AI will take somebody's job. For example, I live in London, and there used to be lots of people who worked on the trains, in the train stations, on the trains. You might find, if you live in like a major city, you might find this as well. There used to be people who worked in the trains. You'll see people like train conductors. You don't see those anymore. So their jobs have been changed through technology. And, I'll give you another example. My uncle, my late uncle, he has a printing design business in Ghana. And they used to paint, like he had loads of artists. They used to hand paint adverts onto like wood panels. And eventually I had to let most of them go and then start using the big printer. So I know this was a long time ago. It's a long time ago. But what I'm saying is that eventually, when the economics just make too much sense, sentiment will go out the window. And it's nice to say, like I said, it's not AI that will take your job. It's the person who knows AI that will take your job. It's nice to say that now. That sentiment might not ring true once AI gets better and better and better and better and better. We've already seen Figma AI, they have that switch, which basically is, makes it so your design is training the AI model. And, people say, like, you're training the AI model to take your job. If you keep that switch on, right, that's the big pushback I've seen. Because eventually Figma, I mean, it could be that you have a design system that's created using AI, and then you could just have a prompt that says, I need a component to do X, Y, Z. I need 3 variations so I can help me decide. And I'm sure we're not actually that far away from that. And of course, you might need a designer to type out the prompt, sure. But would you need as many designers? I don't know. So yeah, I don't know what's future is to come in terms of AI. In terms of learning, I think, look, we're not going to just stop learning because AI is on the horizon. It's always good to learn, expand your horizons. And if you are interested in being in this industry, in UX design, and then usually that follows on to tech, because basically every company is some sort of software or tech company at this point, because everybody has an app or some sort of online service. So if you want to get into that industry, yeah, definitely don't let anything stop you. Make sure you're passionate about it. And I think with AI coming, I mean, maybe it just makes people more cognizant of, what they actually want to do and go into. For me, though, the only, in my opinion, it looks like against AI, the only hedge is really maybe a personal brand. So maybe start a YouTube channel like what I'm doing. I think that will help. I think it also help you stand out in like a job market as well. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think you can kind of put your personality across a little bit as well. So yeah, that could help. And maybe AI will just get rid of all the boring tasks in design, but maybe not. Maybe not. We'll have to see. But yeah, just to wrap this up, can you learn design in 3 months, and are design bootcamps worth it? So I think you can learn some sort of design in 3 months, enough at least to get you into like a free job or a job where you work for free or some sort of internship. I think you can do it for sure. For sure. I think there's enough resources, and if you have enough focus and drive, 1000% you can do it. Not just focus and drive, but actually better than that, eliminating your distractions. Yeah, that's more a thing actually, rather than being more focused or driven. Just eliminating your distractions. And our boot camp's worth it. I say yes, in the right circumstance, as I spoke about in the beginning of the video. You definitely have to be committed to it. It's a big commitment. Immerse yourself, prepare. Do now, like I said, there wasn't much stuff on YouTube when I was starting UX design, and there's loads now. So get in there on YouTube, watch everything you can, read the articles, and immerse yourself. Because for me personally, when I did it, I felt like I still needed, like, after I'd finished, to kind of let it all settle in my head. It was a bit too fast for me. So it took me some time to let it all crystallize in my head. But I think what the big thing it did for me, especially like the teachers we had, is, and I think that's the best thing teachers do, is to kind of spark something within you, and that curiosity, so you kind of keep going on learning after the 10 weeks, because 10 weeks is not enough anyway. It's just the beginning. So you want to leave that thinking, okay, I need to learn more, I need to do more, and then, yeah, that's the beginning, and that's how you get started. But you can definitely do it, and I would recommend it if you can afford it. If you're a career switcher, if you're like 18, you have a lot of time because you're young, there's not much expectation on you, I just say use YouTube and maybe buy an online course for £200-300, $200-300. You don't necessarily need to do that big boot camp. You can if you want, if you have the money. If you have the money, you have the money. But if you're not, I think what you have is time when you're that young, so use that. Anyway, long video, but hopefully you guys got something out of that. I talk about tech, design, productivity. So if you're interested, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It takes a moment for you, but it means the world to me, and I'll catch you in the next one.